unlocking the terrifying fate of the four fallen angels chained in the Euphrates River. Locked beneath the mysterious currents of the Euphrates River lies a tale that chills to the bone, a story of rebellion, punishment, and an ancient prophecy waiting to unfold. The book of Revelation speaks of four fallen angels bound within the depths of this sacred river, angels whose betrayal against the divine has left them chained in darkness, awaiting a fateful day when they will be unleashed. These angels were once among the most powerful, their celestial might equal to their defiance, casting them out from heaven and into the earth's abyss. Known for their wisdom, strength, and ambition, these beings now lie dormant, shackled by divine command. But why the Euphrates? For centuries, this river has been seen as more than just a geographical boundary. It is a spiritual gate, a line between realms that few would dare cross. The presence of these bound angels hints at forces held back only by ancient decrees, forces whose release is said to signal the beginning of the end. To unlock the secrets of the Euphrates is to confront the terror of a prophecy in motion, a reminder that even the bravest can fall, and that the river's depths may hold more than water. If you believe about the Euphrates and the myths cover this river, I'll tell you now that we certainly get detailed answers in the Bible about what so-called fallen angels, who were chained in the Euphrates River. So, open your mind before we continue, because this topic is a good one. Let's start. Euphrates River. The river hides many mythical truths. In the cradle of ancient civilization, where Earth first met the sky's endless gaze, lies the Euphrates River, a mystical artery coursing through history and legend. Known as the River of Fate by many, this mighty waterway whispers tales of empires lost, gods angered, and destinies shaped. From its headwaters in the rugged mountains of eastern Turkey, the Euphrates winds through parched deserts, ancient cities, and sacred grounds, carrying with it stories as old as time. Long ago, the Euphrates was more than just a river. It was the lifeblood of entire civilizations. Mesopotamia, meaning the land between two rivers, took root between the Euphrates and its sister river, the Tigris. This fertile stretch of land gave birth to some of humankind's first great cities, Babylon, Nineveh, where kings walked as gods among men, and knowledge blossomed like a desert rose. The waters of the Euphrates did more than nourish crops. They carried the dreams of empires, flowing with the wisdom of ancient scribes and the echoes of long-forgotten prayers. The river's mythical stature comes not only from its life-giving properties, but from its darker, more mysterious undertones. Some say that beneath its depths lie the chains of ancient beings, locked away from the world by forces too great to comprehend. The book of Revelation tells of four fallen angels bound in the Euphrates, destined to be released when the time of judgment draws near. These celestial rebels, some believe, stir restlessly in the river's depths, their chains clinking against ancient stones as they await their fateful hour. To the devout, the Euphrates is more than a physical landmark. It is a threshold between worlds, holding secrets too powerful to be unleashed upon mortal soil. Even the gods, it seems, could not resist the pull of the Euphrates. The Babylonians told of Ea, the god of water, wisdom, and magic, whose spirit was said to dwell in the river's currents, blessing those who approached with reverence. Ea was a protector and a provider, but the waters could also turn treacherous, especially when disturbed by greed or hubris. It was here, by the banks of the Euphrates, that great kings offered sacrifices, seeking favor and protection, knowing that the river's wrath could be as fierce as its blessings. In later times, the Euphrates became a line in the sand, a river of prophecy and promise. Some prophets spoke of it as a boundary, beyond which lay the mysteries of creation and the dangers of the unknown. They believed that when the Euphrates dried up, it would signal the end of days, opening a path for armies from the east to march upon the world. Such prophecies echo like the murmur of the river itself, a sound both soothing and unsettling, hinting at truths just out of reach. To walk along the Euphrates today is to step into a living tapestry of past and present, where ancient ruins and modern settlements share the same soil. The river flows as it has for millennia, carrying with it the weight of all it has witnessed. On moonlit nights, they say, if you listen closely, you can hear the whispers of lost civilizations, the voices of ancient warriors, and the silent cries of exiled deities. The Euphrates is a river of dichotomy, both a giver and a taker, a bringer of life and a harbinger of mystery. Its waters are timeless, yet its course is ever-changing, reminding all who draw near that nothing, not even the mightiest river, remains untouched by the passage of time. For the Euphrates does not merely run through the earth, it flows through the spirit of humanity, carving its path through the dreams, fears, and destinies of all who dare to seek its waters. To some, it is a river. To others, it is a symbol, a warning, a legend. But to all, the Euphrates is eternal, a current that runs deep, touching realms beyond the earthly, whispering secrets only the brave dare to unravel. Why and when does Euphrates become the place of binding rebellious spirits? The symbolic chaining of certain fallen angels in the Euphrates River is deeply rooted in both biblical prophecy and ancient mythology. The book of Revelation in the New Testament, Revelation 9:14-15, mentions 4 angels bound at the great river Euphrates, who will be released during the end times to bring destruction and chaos upon the earth. This imagery taps into the river's symbolic role as a boundary between realms, the known and the unknown, the earthly and the supernatural. The Euphrates has long represented a kind of spiritual threshold in the ancient world. It was seen as a natural boundary that marked the edge of civilization for the Mesopotamians, and was revered and feared as a line between the human and divine realms. For these cultures, bodies of water like rivers were thought to serve as portals or markers for spiritual boundaries. In this sense, the Euphrates, as a boundary line, became an apt place to symbolically chain beings who defied divine order. The chaining of fallen angels, specifically in the Euphrates, represents both their punishment and a warning to humanity. The angels, believed to have rebelled against God, are restrained to prevent them from spreading further chaos and corruption. Yet the prophecy suggests that one day they will be unleashed, marking a pivotal point in humanity's story and the commencement of a forewarned trial. Thus, the Euphrates acts as both a physical and spiritual seal, embodying the tension between divine judgment and the patience that holds back destruction until an appointed time. Moreover, the notion of binding rebellious spirits near the Euphrates may also connect to the region's ancient mythologies. The Babylonians, Assyrians, and other Mesopotamian cultures viewed the river as sacred and associated it with gods who wielded both protection and wrath. By associating the punishment of fallen angels with the Euphrates, the narrative layers the river with spiritual weight, grounding the divine conflict in a location charged with ancient reverence and fear. In essence, the chaining of fallen angels in the Euphrates symbol reflects the river's role as a potent boundary, one holding the forces of chaos at bay until the foreordained time arrives for their release. The image serves as a powerful reminder of divine authority, the consequences of rebellion, and the thin line between earthly existence and supernatural forces beyond human control. Satan, Prince of Darkness, the first fallen angel who dared to rebel against God. The first name that likely comes to mind when people think of the embodiment of evil in the Christian tradition is Satan. However, it's also worth mentioning Lucifer, the Prince of Darkness, alongside Beelzebub and Mephistopheles, the lords of hell, and declared enemies of Yahweh. What may be less known to the general public, however, is that Lucifer was not the only one to rebel against the will of the Almighty. Lucifer, famously known as the Light-Bearer, was crafted by God as the most radiant, wise, and skilled of all the angels. His beauty and intelligence were unparalleled, and God envisioned him as a loyal companion and leader of the cherubim, the highest angelic order. Blessed with complete freedom of thought and action, Lucifer's brilliance also brought with it a sense of autonomy that eventually led him to question God's authority. This freedom, intended as a mark of trust, instead fueled in Lucifer a pride so intense that he began to view himself as equal to, or perhaps even greater than, his creator. According to the prophet Isaiah, Lucifer's ambition grew until he boldly declared, "I will ascend to heaven. I will set my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of assembly, on the heights of the north. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High." This defiance marked the turning point, and Lucifer rallied a group of angels to join his rebellion, igniting a cosmic battle between those who embraced his rebellion and those loyal to the divine. In this heavenly war, God sent forth the mighty archangel Michael and his loyal angels to confront Lucifer and his followers. The Bible recounts this battle. "And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But they were not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was cast down, the ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him." This conflict was rooted in Lucifer's pride, his greatest flaw, which ultimately led to his downfall. Stripped of his heavenly status and banished, Lucifer was transformed from a light-bearer to Satan, the adversary, marking his final separation from the divine realm. His fall from grace carried him not just out of heaven, but symbolically to places associated with the depths, like the Euphrates, where, according to some beliefs, remnants of his rebellion still lie bound. The Euphrates River holds symbolic connections to Lucifer's fate. Seen as a boundary between the divine and the profane, the Euphrates represents a place where fallen beings, including rebellious angels like Lucifer and his followers, might be contained. Some interpret the presence of chained angels in the Euphrates as a lingering punishment for their defiance, a reminder of the boundary that separates divine authority from chaos. The river, both a giver of life and a barrier to the unknown, becomes a fitting emblem for Lucifer's fate, a being once close to God, but forever barred from his presence. Now known as Satan, Lucifer works to spread deception, tempting humanity away from God and toward ruin. He is often referred to as the father of lies and the god of this world, an embodiment of rebellion against divine will. Like a roaring lion, he is ever vigilant, seeking souls to ensnare. His story serves as a testament to the perils of pride and a stark reminder of the fate that awaits those who challenge the divine. His connection to the Euphrates serves as both a symbolic and spiritual barrier, marking the thin line between God's realm and the darkness where the fallen are held in anticipation of judgment. Samyaza, a prominent leader among the fallen angels. Samyaza was known as he who sees God for his unmatched wisdom and profound knowledge of heavenly mysteries. He stood as the head of the Watchers, a group of angels sent by God with a sacred duty to oversee and guide humanity. Yet, Samyaza's tale is one of betrayal and rebellion, a story documented in the ancient Book of Enoch, an apocryphal text that, while not part of the Bible, is referenced by some biblical authors and considered significant in ancient lore. Samyaza's tragic descent began with a forbidden attraction. The Watchers, including Samyaza, became captivated by the beauty of mortal women, a temptation that led them to violate divine law. As the Book of Enoch tells it, when humankind began to flourish, daughters were born who were both beautiful and alluring. The Watchers, known as the Sons of Heaven, gazed upon them with longing. One by one, they shared their desires until a pact was formed. Samyaza, their leader, initially hesitated, fearful of bearing the full guilt for such a grave sin. He voiced his concerns, saying, "I fear that you may not wish to do this deed, and I alone shall bear the guilt of this great sin." But the Watchers, resolute, declared, "Let us all take an oath and bind ourselves under a curse not to abandon this plan, but to carry it out." United by this vow, the Watchers descended, 200 in number, upon Mount Hermon, a sacred peak, where they sealed their fates. Samyaza and his companions took wives from among the daughters of men, revealing forbidden secrets to their offspring. They taught them the mysteries of the heavens, such as astrology, the properties of plants, magical arts, and the crafting of weaponry and adornments. However, these gifts, meant to inspire, soon became tools of corruption, spreading violence and vanity across the land. From these unions were born the Nephilim, giants who grew powerful and consumed the resources of humankind, eventually turning on humanity in acts of brutality and sin. The Book of Enoch vividly describes the havoc wreaked by the Nephilim. The giants consumed the labors of men until men could no longer sustain them. Then the giants turned on men to devour them and began to sin against birds, beasts, creeping things, and fish. They devoured one another's flesh and drank blood. The earth cried out against the violence done to it. Seeing the corruption and suffering caused by Samyaza and the Watchers, God was filled with regret for having created them. In a fateful decision, he sent the great flood to cleanse the earth, sparing only Noah and his family, who remained steadfast in their faith and obedience. Yet God's punishment did not end with the flood. He commanded the angel Raphael to bind Samyaza and the Watchers in the abyss, a dark and forsaken realm where they would await final judgment. The link between Samyaza and the Euphrates River emerges here, as the river often symbolizes a boundary between realms. Known in various prophecies as a place of containment, the Euphrates is seen as a symbolic prison, a place where rebellious spirits are bound until the appointed time. God's order to the angels Raphael and Michael was clear. To Raphael he commanded, "Bind Samyaza's hands and feet and cast him into darkness. Make an opening in the desert of Dudael and place him there, covering him with rough stones and shadows, that he may never again see the light until the day of judgment, when he shall be cast into the fire." In this way, Samyaza's spirit, bound near the mystical Euphrates, remains held back from the world above, his knowledge and ambition contained in the depths. To Michael, God said, "Proclaim to Samyaza and his associates, you united with women and defiled yourselves with impurity. When your children kill one another and witness the destruction of their loved ones, bind them for 70 generations under the hills of the earth, until the day of their judgment and eternal punishment. In those days, those in the abyss will be brought to the fire and tormented in a place of unending punishment." Thus, Samyaza and the Watchers were condemned, and the Nephilim, their offspring, were swept away by the flood. Yet, some survived as evil spirits, roaming the earth in search of souls to corrupt and bodies to possess. Samyaza's legacy is one of fallen wisdom and unbridled curiosity, a cautionary tale of what transpires when divine knowledge is used to defy the Creator. Bound near the Euphrates, Samyaza's spirit remains a reminder of the thin line between sacred duty and forbidden desire, between divine law and the ruin of rebellion. Azazel, who introduced violence and vanity into the world. Azazel, a name that sends shivers down the spine as it means the one whom God strengthens, was no ordinary angel. Known for his fearless spirit and unmatched skill in the art of war, Azazel was one of the Watchers, a group of angels sent to guard over humanity. But as fate would have it, his strength and knowledge turned to ruinous ends. According to the Book of Enoch, Azazel went far beyond his heavenly mandate, joining with mortal women and unveiling forbidden secrets to humankind. With each revelation, he edged humanity closer to a path of destruction. Azazel wasn't just any teacher. He was a bringer of the knowledge that forever changed the world. He taught men to forge weapons and armor, to bend metals into deadly swords and shields, turning once peaceful hands toward the ways of war. For women, he unveiled the arts of beauty and adornment, eye paints, hair dyes, gleaming jewelry, and dazzling ornaments, instilling a sense of vanity that would mark generations. Through Azazel, violence and vanity seeped into the world, staining innocence with desires that fueled pride and idolatry. The Book of Enoch captures Azazel's transgressions in stark detail. Azazel taught men to make swords and knives, shields and breastplates, and to work with metals. He taught them the art of making bracelets, ornaments, and the use of antimony to beautify the eyelids, as well as all kinds of precious stones and dyes. As people embraced these new skills, wickedness spread like wildfire. Society's moral compass crumbled, and people turned from God, indulging in the lure of violence and the snares of pride. Humanity, enchanted by these new arts, fell into sin, going astray from the path of righteousness. God, witnessing the chaos that Azazel had unleashed, held him accountable for the moral decay and destruction plaguing the earth. His punishment was swift and severe. The archangel Raphael was commanded to bind Azazel, cast him into the wilderness of Dudael, a desolate place, hidden from light and shrouded in darkness. There, Azazel would be buried beneath rough and sharp stones, awaiting the final day of judgment when he would be thrown into eternal fire. The book of Enoch recounts, "The Lord said to Raphael, 'Go and bind Azazel hand and foot, and cast him into darkness. Make an opening in the wilderness which is in Dudael, and cast him there. Cover him with rough and sharp stones, and let him remain there forever, hidden from the light. On the great day of judgment, he shall be thrown into the fire.'" But Azazel's influence lingered, appearing in biblical rituals and stories. In the book of Leviticus, on the sacred Day of Atonement, the holiest day for the Jewish people, the high priest would take 2 goats and cast lots, designating one for the Lord and one for Azazel. The first goat, chosen for God, was sacrificed as a sin offering, its blood sprinkled on the mercy seat, symbolizing God's grace and forgiveness. But the goat for Azazel, called the scapegoat, was led into the wilderness, bearing upon itself the sins of the people. With the priest's hands placed upon it, the sins and iniquities of Israel were symbolically transferred to the creature, which was then released, wandering off to an unseen fate. This ritual underscored the separation between the holy and the profane, drawing a line between God and Azazel, purity and corruption. Some interpret Azazel not as a being, but as a desolate location, a forsaken place in the wilderness where sin is cast away. Others, however, see Azazel as more than a mere name. They believe he is the embodiment of violence, a fallen angel turned lord of demons. Either way, Azazel remains a figure of foreboding, a reminder of the consequences of transgressing divine law and of the thin line separating strength from corruption. Some interpret Azazel as a place in the desert, not a being. However, others view Azazel as the name of a fallen angel, representing violence and serving as the lord of demons. Beelzebub, associated with impurity and idolatry. Beelzebub is mentioned in the New Testament and is often associated with Satan. The Pharisees, religious leaders of the Jews, accused Jesus of casting out demons by the power of Beelzebub, the prince of demons. But Jesus pointed out the absurdity of this claim, saying that if Satan were casting out Satan, he would be divided against himself. Instead, Jesus affirmed that he cast out demons by the Spirit of God. The Bible records, a blind and mute demoniac was brought to Jesus, and he healed him so that the blind and mute man could both see and speak. All the people were astonished and said, "Is this not the son of David?" But when the Pharisees heard this, they said, "This man does not cast out demons except by Beelzebub, the prince of demons." Jesus, knowing their thoughts, said to them, "Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to ruin, and every city or house divided against itself will not stand. If Satan casts out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then will his kingdom stand? But if I cast out demons by the Spirit of God, then the kingdom of God has come upon you." Thus, Beelzebub is seen as a fallen angel representing disease, impurity, and idolatry, known as the Lord of Flies and Demons. The binding of Beelzebub, one of the most notorious fallen angels near the Euphrates River, is steeped in both symbolism and divine judgment. Known as the Lord of Flies, and often associated with corruption, idolatry, and impurity, Beelzebub's rebellion against divine authority marked him as a chief adversary of God. His binding near the Euphrates, a river both feared and revered, holds a powerful spiritual and prophetic significance. The Euphrates has long been seen as more than just a river. It is a boundary between realms, a line that ancient civilizations believed separated the earthly from the supernatural. In biblical prophecies, the river is mentioned as a place where certain angels were bound as part of God's plan, symbolizing restraint and divine containment of evil forces. By binding Beelzebub near the Euphrates, the Lord emphasizes his authority over even the mightiest fallen beings, keeping Beelzebub and his influence at bay until the appointed time. This binding serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of pride and rebellion. Beelzebub's presence near the Euphrates also acts as a warning to humankind, a reminder of the river's role as a threshold between realms, a place where the divine can hold back forces too dangerous for the world. His confinement there suggests that while evil may lurk close to humanity, it remains restrained by divine power, only awaiting release in a time of reckoning. The meaning of symbol 4 fallen angels in Bible. These are the 4 fallen angels in the Bible who rebelled against God and were cast out of heaven. 1. Lucifer, the light-bearer, who became Satan, the adversary. 2. Azazel, who introduced violence and vanity into the world. 3. Beelzebub, associated with impurity, idolatry, and known as the Lord of Flies. 4. Samyaza, representing corrupted wisdom, curiosity, and lust. The Bible states, "He seized the dragon, the ancient serpent, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. He cast him into the abyss, shut it, and set a seal upon it, so that he would deceive the nations no more until the 1,000 years were finished. Afterward, he must be released for a short time. Then I saw thrones, and they who sat upon them were empowered to judge. I saw the souls of those beheaded for their testimony of Jesus and the word of God, who had not worshipped the beast or its image, nor received the mark on their foreheads or hands. They came to life and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. When the 1,000 years are finished, Satan will be released from his prison and will go out to deceive the nations in the 4 corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them for battle. Their number is like the sand of the sea. They went up over the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints and the beloved city. Then fire came down from God out of heaven and consumed them, and the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet were. They will be tormented day and night, forever and ever." This marks the end of the fallen angels and the triumph of God and his people. In exploring the fate of the 4 fallen angels chained in the depths of the Euphrates River, we delve into a profound narrative of rebellion, divine justice, and prophecy that echoes through the ages. These beings, once radiant and powerful, challenge the ultimate authority of the Creator, leading to their downfall and binding in a place seen as a boundary between the realms of earth and spirit. The Euphrates, far from being a mere river, represents a powerful spiritual frontier, where divine restraint holds back forces too dark for the world to bear. These 4 angels, each embodying unique aspects of defiance, pride, violence, impurity, and corrupted wisdom, serve as eternal reminders of the consequences of forsaking the divine path. Lucifer, the light-bearer, fell from grace to become Satan, the eternal adversary. Azazel, with his teachings of war and vanity, left a legacy of violence and idolatry. Beelzebub, the lord of impurity, spread corruption, while Samyaza's misguided knowledge introduced ungodly curiosity and desire. Their binding near the Euphrates signifies not only a punishment, but a containment, holding them back until the prophesied time of their release and final judgment. The Bible tells us that a day will come when these angels will be unleashed, heralding a time of great turmoil. But this release is not without purpose. Their re-emergence serves as a divine test, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, the triumph of God and his faithful is assured. In the end, the story of the chained angels is not merely one of punishment, but a prophecy of ultimate victory, a tale where justice prevails and divine order is restored. As we reflect on the chains of the Euphrates, we are reminded of the enduring power of faith, the limits of defiance, and the promise of redemption for those who stand firm in the light. If this content resonates with you and you wish to continue exploring spiritual and religious mysteries, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. May God bless you. Amen.